Mirroring the successes of the National Assembly in 2 years may not be the sole responsibility of the lawmakers who have scored themselves high. Independent views are, however, otherwise.
You know, we like to celebrate anniversaries in our country, so I guess I won't blame anybody for wanting to follow the Nigerian tradition of celebrating anniversaries. I think that what really has been fascinating to me in the current National Assembly is what is emerging as a kind of reversal of roles. Typically, the House of Representatives, the lower house as it's called, is the more aggressive, yeah. You know, but we get a radical Senate and we get a fairly laid-back House of Reps. So very unusual. How come when you lose an election or don't run or whatever, most of you stay back in Abuja? It's because there's a disconnect to the people. One of the reasons that I have continuously argued for a citizen legislature, the so-called part-time National Assembly, is not just because of the costs, which is very significant. Because if you look at the troubles we have, it comes to the fact that we spend more money on our representatives than we spend providing education to the people of Nigeria, than we spend on healthcare for the people of Nigeria. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. But in Nigeria, there are many things that we sometimes do and don't reflect. Does this make sense? But take away the cost aspects, take away that factor, and go to the fact that the people who are in Abuja, who are disconnected from the people, are not in a position to reflect the wishes of the people in what comes out of the budget. But to be fair, in terms of engagement with some of the issues, I've seen some interesting discussions in the National Assembly.
The press also need to assist the common Nigerians, the helpless Nigerians. Help them out. Go to their constituency, find out if their representatives are doing well. You will get more facts. I go to my village every day and I know what they say of the National Assembly. And I told them, say, look, for now, you have to live with it. And the earlier Nigeria stand up and be counted that the National Assembly is the first point of call for their voices to be heard, then we will all get it wrong. The National Assembly need to sit up once again. Because when you see all of the cacophony you are hearing all over the place, it's a recipe for anarchy. Because if we don't discuss, if you prevent people from talking, from ventilating their mind, you're not going to get it all the time. If they sit up, go to their constituency, like I expect all the legislators in Igbo, instead of talking about a commission of SATIS commission, commission, the NDDC they have, what have we done with it? Have they gotten anything out of it? So what will the commission? Will the commission of an night turn the SATIS around? No. Discuss with the National Assembly caucus as a whole in the Southeast. Thankfully, they are all PDP members, maybe one or two APC. Discuss together as a body, meet your leader. What do we really want as a people? And that should be what should be in the budget, or find a way to lobby other people to join you in pursuing those things. Not to set one arm in the night, you go and meet them that we are IPOB. In the daytime, you say you are a National Assembly member. That won't work. Because I'm sure none of them will go home if they say they are not IPOB. So that's not what they ought to do. What they ought to do is, before they allow anarchy to prevail, get your people. You are represented, you have capacity to summon meeting. You have capacity to meet your leaders. You have capacity to organize town hall meeting. Spend little of these earnings you have and do the needful. Many of them, in spite of this oversight and all of this peculiarity, the other year it was about 25% that return. Last year it was about 30% that return. Because people are usually fed up with the style of representation. Because they go there and do something else. They think that always when we get there, we should chase pecuniary interest, we use that one, buy our way, get re-elected. It's not always so. Because your job is invisible as a legislator. But once you want to quantify your job in naira and kobo, you will not return. Because you are going to meet critical stakeholders who say, no, this man never represented us. We are suffering. Our women in the village today, as I speak, in Delta, cannot go to the farm. They now farm around their houses. They can't go far. Then tell me the bill now passed, even at the state level, that says that if you do this, or we find if you do open grazing in our farm, this is the consequence. No bill. The other time, the only one that raised a bill was talking about child rights or sex or issue of that. Is that our problem in Delta?
The budget for the legislature currently stands at 125 billion naira, while Nigeria's education sector has again received much lower than the 26% of national budget, as recommended by the United Nations. In the 2017 budget, 398 billion naira is allocated to education, representing about 6% of the 7.44 trillion naira signed into law, contrary to the recommendation by UNESCO.
The most important legislation in the Nigerian scheme of things will be the Appropriation Act or the Appropriation Bill. Last year we had a new term invented, padding. To what extent should the Assembly add more to the proposal by the government? They are not the executive, they are the legislature. And I think there is a misunderstanding of roles by members of the legislature who believe that because they have lawmaking power, they can do and undo with regards to the budget. Because whatever is not appropriated cannot be expended. But there was a feeling in many quarters that they were adding more to the budget to satisfy their interests at the constituency level. That caused a lot of trepidation amongst Nigerians. But they have a right to celebrate what's and all, the enactment of the PIB bill, which had been in abeyance for quite a while. With the PIB bill passed, then they can actually say, well, we try to redress the wrongs in the petroleum industry. That there are laws, anti-corruption laws, before the Assembly, which they've not acted upon. I'm aware that there's a proposal to have a special law for trying corrupt persons. I don't know why the National Assembly has been sitting on it, but it will have been nice to pass that executive bill to streamline the war against corruption. So that's why I said you have to look with, well, a fine dose of cynical acid at the efforts by the National Assembly to streamline governance in this country. So there are some wins, there are some losses, and that is why I said at the outset of this discussion that is a work in progress.
I don't see why a legislature in Nigeria should not be independent, and rightly so, and be on the side of the people. The people are suffering. This job, you can't create job. For instance, when I hear about the Department of Job Creation, or what do you call that, MD, National Department of Employment, or something of that. How can they? Where in the world do you have a National Directorate of Employment to do what? Just are created by the private sector. The government only creates the enabling environment. That's what you ought to be. Not that you establish one ministry, it's a National Directorate of Employment. To do what? To employ people? Or to collect application? So you see, these are ridiculous things. But that is Nigeria for you. It's a channel for which some people will be drawing funds. Budget money will be allocated. They will have a DG. They will have a permanent secretary. They will have all of this. So put together, we don't seem to be a serious country. And now they put the executive in a very difficult situation. You put the ministers in a very difficult situation when you pass budget meant for this fiscal year by June this year.
For the legislators, these 2 years have been a time of keeping their promises to Nigerians. However, they admit that there is still room for improvement.